last thing that you remember?
I saw something on the ship. It's been 2 years since the fall of the mothership and the end of the invasion.
We survived, found each other.
You're worried about something. Just talk to me.
I need to know what's going on. I need to know if it's happening again.
Whatever happened before is just the beginning.
We've been assembling an elite team of soldiers to cross through the dead zone. You're coming with us. You know more about the aliens than anybody.
There's a reason we keep surviving. We was meant to finish this together.
Victory requires sacrifice.
You can communicate with them. You're a part of something so much bigger.
What I saw is new, more powerful, and they're not done.
There's a worldwide war out there.
We promise to keep trying for each other.
All this time, all I wanted to do was destroy them. Maybe humanity's time is over. Maybe it's their turn.
The world keeps spinning.
So it's just talking about aliens. We're just talking about aliens here, everyone. All right, I'm just going to start right there. Hello, everyone. My name is Heather with the NRW, where Nerds Rule the World, and I am here with Stephen Tracey, who is in Invasion, and that's why he's here. But I need to make sure I have my right notes. Hi, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I almost called you Tracey. That's why I was just like, oh, crap. That's not your name. That's your last name.
Wouldn't be
so
the
I'm
first
doing great. That's all right. Well, we're going to try and call you by your real name, by Stephen. So let's talk about what you're doing now. Right now, the primary reason you're here is to talk about you in season 3. You were introduced in season 3 as Sergeant Reese. But there's some backstory, and of course, we don't have to be stuck with that. I'm not here. I get to help Apple, but they're not paying me for this, so we can talk about anything we want. I'm just kidding. I don't get paid, guys. Don't get mad at me for that. Let's talk about your experience, and we'll go into Invasion. Invasion is far from your first fantastical series. You've done historical, you've done period pieces, and you've definitely done other sci-fi pieces before. So, and the most recent one, of course, is Expanse. You did Expanse like right before Invasion, so you're just in the sky all the time. So, can you give the audience a little bit of your backstory?
Backstory. I grew up in northern Canada and in a small town, and I was a super shy kid. Some teacher saw that I liked to draw, and she submitted a portfolio towards this arts school in Edmonton, which was the big city. And I got in and I went. They were doing a play. I happened to look like the person who they wanted to cast, and they were doing a play about brothers. And so they cast me, and it like opened me up to a whole new world of like pushing myself and like pushing the boundaries of what I thought I could do as a human, because I was so afraid. And it was a moment where I got to be in a situation where I could be in front of people and be seen and have an A to B to C script without me having to like be funny or charming or witty on my own. And I kind of got hooked on that. I know a lot of actors probably say that they like they want to tell stories that change the world, and obviously I do too. But I think being an actor has like somehow made me hopefully a better person, because you just get to step into different experiences that you don't do in your everyday life. And from there, I went to theater school in Montreal, graduated. Funny enough, never worked in theater, and just started working in film and TV, and been grateful for the projects that I've gotten to do so far.
And it's not a small list. You've done quite a few things, starting with Anne with an E, being your first real big step into the spotlight. What have you learned over the past couple of years or the past couple of years? It's been it's been a handful of years, not to age you at all.
Yeah, put it out there. I've got good lighting right now. It's fine.
It's great. Your skin is flawless right now. Sorry, I'm being mean in this interview. I'm so sorry. What the hell is wrong with me? I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
But Anne with an E was definitely a first step into what has been a pretty dynamic, dramatic, into pretty dynamic, dramatic roles for you. You're mentioning comedy, it's not that you're not like, the most serious person in the world in these roles, but you have gone into a very dramatic kind of filmography. Would you like to expand outside of that? And what have you learned since, that first step?
Well, I think the thing about this industry, and I'm sure you've had many guests say so, is that it's just ebbs and flows. And every time that you think you know what it is, it tells you what it isn't. And I couldn't have predicted the path that I have taken, and based off of the roles that come your way, because like for the most part, unless you are an A-list celebrity, you're auditioning for everything and you're showcasing how you would do that part. And you have to be able to be in a position of being believable, and you never know what people are going to believe you as. Like, I'm not a special forces soldier. I'm not an 1880s school teacher with a bit of a mean streak. Hopefully I'm not that. Or like I've never been to space. But like for some reason, when you're inside of certain roles, certain people just see things within you and they kind of like pull it out of you. And I find that as a human being, maybe this sounds like a little hidey-tighty, but sometimes when you are overcoming personal things within your life, the work, being film, presents you characters that kind of have a through line with that. So like every step of my career, there's been little bits and pieces of like, dealing with identity, or dealing with masculinity, or dealing with like family stuff. And somehow like the art, not to say that therapy is art, but like you're having an external exploration of something in a safe environment, which then allows you to have an internal one. And so I found that like, I cannot predict what people are going to believe me as. Two, there's a direct correlation of what life is throwing my way as well as art is throwing my way. And I guess I'm just waiting to see what happens next.
Do you ever feel a little bit pigeonholed? And I know that sounds kind of, once again, I'm sounding so mean today. I don't mean that. Do you ever feel a little bit pigeonholed with you? Because just from what you were saying, you kind of had this very open set, and then with what you just mentioned, you have this through line, you have this direct path. I mean, you've had some wonderful opportunities, and Invasion is definitely an exciting one. I love the series; it's great. So it's one of those where do you ever feel like you want to do more, like you would love to expand out more, or with that audition process, because you are in those queues, do you feel like you have to follow a line?
Truth be told, I do not feel like I have to follow a line. I have a really great team behind me who submit me for like a whole like wide variety of stuff. And I don't think I've been particularly pigeonholed. I find that I do know a lot of people who do get pigeonholed, and I think it's just one of those things on how the industry works from a financial POV. If you've come in and you've been on a show or a movie where you were super successful as being a dirty cop, every other production is going to be like, that person knows how to do dirty cop. And it's like almost like a bankable check mark that you're going to do a good job. So I think that's how people start to become pigeonholed. But like with things like Anne with an E, I had a wig and a mustache and nobody knew who I was. So whether I did a good job or not, it didn't really matter, because nobody was going to be like finding me on the street and being like, that was amazing or that was terrible. But it's like there's something inside of that role, or in Expanse, getting to play a belter who is a person who's grown up in space and lives on the asteroid belt. They developed their own like language that doesn't exist in this world, but it's an amalgamation amalgamation of a bunch of different languages. And so you get to like fall into a dialect and the rules of like how your body moves with zero gravity. So I think like getting to be in spaces that have allowed me to transform have kind of maybe been more of my pattern. But even so, I don't think there's been enough of a consistent thing that has like pigeonholed me in some type of way. I do find, if anything, there's like a slight leaning towards the antagonist, and I think that just might be my like Slavic bone structure, where they're like, oh, pointy means mean. So this guy's, and usually like heart or round means sweet and kind. But beyond that, I don't think I've been really, really lucky that I haven't fallen into anything in particular.
Perfect. And I don't mean to say I think pigeonholed was the wrong way. It's you've just been doing so much drama. I didn't know if you wanted to do more comedy, a little bit more
Oh, I see what you're
romance. And
saying.
so I
Yeah,
apologize. I did not mean to use the pigeonholed. It's you have such an eclectic set, but it's very dramatic feeling.
yeah.
Do you ever feel like you want to expand more out, or do you really just enjoy that you're kind of doing all of these characters within that genre? Even though it's, some's in space, some's in the past. Would you like to do a wider range, or do you really just enjoy the dramatic?
100%. I want to do it all. Greedy over here, just sloppy and greedy. Throw it my way. I do think I would absolutely love to do a comedy. I did a comedy pilot for FX. And that might be like the closest public comedic thing that I've gotten to do beyond just like being funny inside of a role, but actually a series that was written for comedy. I find comedy to be so much more technical and taxing acting wise. I think that part of the craft is so elevated, and it's quite astonishing that they haven't celebrated more comedic performances at the big fancy awards, because I think a lot more work goes into being funny and making sure you're hitting the joke but being fresh. Whereas living inside of drama, you're just like trying to expose the truth. And yes, that's hard, but it's not nearly, you don't need as much craftsmanship to be believable in that world. So that's definitely something that I would love to dip my toes into. I want to do like period romance, you know? I'd love a hit at an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. That's kind of my jam. When I'm at home alone, I throw on all of the period romances, truthfully. So I would love to be a part of that, or even a Western, ride a horse.
Rock on, rock on. I was gonna say no matter who you are always falling in on those period romances. You're watching Pride and Prejudice to make you feel better. Don't Nobody
Yes.
should ever deny that.
No, I don't care who you
Um,
are. Oh, that Joe Wright Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley and like Rosamund Pike. Almost every famous British person ever, Matthew McFadden, who was on Succession, is in it. I remember people blowing up about him when he was on Succession, and I was like, that's Mr. Darcy. Get it together.
he did an amazing it's a White Whitechapel. It's a series from BBC. It's
Oh,
amazing. It's really, really good. It's
wait,
it's so good.
I'm gonna
It's
write this
really
down.
good. The last season was kind of iffy, but he basically plays an inspector post the slasher murders, and it's really interesting.
Oh, that does sound interesting. Definitely up
Yeah.
my alley. Thank you. This has been a very fruitful conversation.
Other than I am an asshole, I'm happy to give that. I'm so sorry. No, you're absolutely beautiful. And by the way, your bone structure, immaculate.
Oh,
So you could totally do the romance. I'm just gonna
oh,
say it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I say, put it out there.
With that being said, let's move into the more current. Expanse was absolutely a fun series. It is absolutely a fun series. But what did you take away? That is probably the most connected to what you're currently doing with Invasion. It's of course a very different series, but when it comes to your other pieces you've done, you've done those periods, you've done those dramas, but it is the most connected at a sci-fi perspective in a fantastical way. What did you take from Expanse that you are moving into with Invasion?
The biggest takeaways would be as a performer, ingraining learned behavior. Brett Eisner, who directed many episodes of The Expanse, was the first director that I worked with, and he brought us in early on Sundays so that we could just unbuckle and buckle our seatbelts. So that kind of stuff became second nature. When you're in a new world that doesn't exist in ours, or you're playing a profession that has its own set of structures and behaviors and rules, the more specific and second nature you can make those things, the more believable you are on camera. So finding ways to know what your environment is and it doesn't feel new, that you don't have to look at everything as you're touching it, or like pushing a button isn't like it's this button. It's like when you go to like open your garage door, you're not going this button. It's like, so finding those details that are almost subconscious towards the audience, but then allows them to just see you as proficient inside of what you are currently working on. And the amount of preparation that the Amazon Studios provided for us for The Expanse, like we did dialect coaching and we had zero gravity on camera training, was on par with what we did for Apple TV Plus with Invasion. They brought us in early to do weapons training because we were playing sergeants in a special forces unit, and we were firing blanks in real guns. So it's real ammo. Obviously, there's no repercussion, which is the best thing in the world. But we had to be able to be tactile and able to like change the mags if it jammed, because there were real bullets in there. And like, we want to make sure that for all of the veterans and current people serving who end up watching the show, that we're treating those things with respect, that we actually look like we know what we're doing, and it's not just a bunch of people doing make-believe, because there's little things that give you away. And one of the funny things is when you get given a gun and you haven't had a lot of experience being around guns, is automatically, instinctually, you put your finger on the trigger. And having your finger on the trigger just increases the chances of you actually firing it or accidentally firing it. But it's this crazy tick that we do once we get given a weapon, and it probably comes from like childhood with like water guns or whatnot. But just like even learning that your finger stays off of the trigger are little tricks that make you more believable and more authentic in the role. So if you go and watch another thing with the military and you see that there's no active threat and they have their finger on the trigger, you're going, that person is green. And so it's like learning those details so that you just get to represent something that allows you to be the best that you can be inside of it. And like, I take that lesson into everything that I do since then, just the behaviors of what the characters are or what the world is.
That is awesome. It's so important that as you said, you're not only learning from the character themselves about your personal, you're about who you are personally, but from those roles. That's so cool. So let's move now into Invasion entirely. Tell me about Sergeant Reese. Who is he? When you first read him on the page, what were your thoughts?
I when I first read it, I was like, Sergeant Reese is probably who I would be if I was in a special forces unit. He is, and I say this with kindness to myself, he's probably like the newest member of the team. He's a little bit green, and he tries to mask that by being a little bit more like having a little bit of a bravado, but it's not really there. It's not quite measuring up. It's like pushing down the fear of the world potentially ending because of this invasion, being in a set of circumstances where people are dying all around, and just like trying to keep a level head. But the fun part of that is like actually getting to just mask at what parts do you show your fear or you rise above your fear, which created a really great arc for me inside of the series. And honestly, I'm sure that's how I approach life, is just like trying to push it down. I mean, aren't we all just trying to fake it until we make it, truthfully? And I think getting to step onto that set the very first day There was helicopters flying and landing. There was 6 cameras. It was the most amount of cameras I've ever seen on a set. Normally it's 2, and if it's fancy, 3, but there was like 6, and they were all at different angles, and there was 100 extras all in uniform, and it just felt so epic in scope. And obviously the nerves go up, but being like, gotta push it down. And I went, oh, that's exactly who this guy is. Just trying to fake it until you make it. And if you show it a little bit, you show it a little bit. So that was really fun to explore. Yeah, Reese Green.
He's also what I do like about, I haven't watched any of the third season yet. I'm one of those people that likes to binge everything at the end, especially with Apple TV. For some reason, Apple TV just really makes me want to just wait because I get anxious.
Mm.
So without going into too many spoilers, because of course episode 6 arrives this week. What what do you love the most about him, that you have done that we have seen so far, and that you're excited for the audiences to see going forward?
What do I love about this character the most?
Yeah, like what he's done so far in the series during the first 5
Um,
episodes, or what you are exciting for the audience to see in the future without going into too many spoilers.
Uh, I think it would just be moments where the character gets to rise to the occasion. And it could be something as small as being supportive to somebody else in an emotional capacity, or like in a physical one, because this season is so jam-packed. I remember on our very first day, one of the executive producers, Aditi, came over to me, and there were so many of us in uniform, and we all looked the same, which is crazy. And she was like, "Who are you playing?" And I was like, "Reese." And she said, "Oh, we have got so much in store for you." And they 100% did. The amount of action sequences and stunts and like pyrotechnic stuff that have come up during the course of shooting, that there's a lot of like big epic moments, I think. I mean, like, for the character, the moments where he gets to rise up, but I think from the actor POV, just seeing how they've cut all of those action sequences together, because when you're shooting action, you need a lot of cut points to create that tension and create that momentum. So we would shoot one scene for like 4 days, getting it from every different type of angle. So seeing what ends up being like in the final, like is kind of what I'm looking forward to most. But yeah, getting to rise to the occasion without spoiling anything, because I can't say anything.
That, yes, I made the joke about Apple, but they would get mad at us if
They
we
would.
did some spoilers. So, uh, um, with that, I do want to actually touch on something, that the environment. This is a very high stakes, not only role, but the series is known for being very high stakes. And even though it is fantastic, it is still a statement on, a lot of the current situations that are happening. So when you're on set, do you ever have, especially when you're in some of these long scenes that take days, do you ever have a hard time breaking out? And if not, what are your tricks to get out of those moments, to get out of those high tension situations?
The camaraderie on set was so strong, and I actually felt the same way on The Expanse as well. But the people who I got to work with were the casting department on this show did a fantastic job of just bringing together good-hearted people who love to laugh and love to diffuse the tension. I think because things were so high stake from the second I stepped on the scene, not saying that I was causing it, but just from my experience of the tension just kind of ramps up. It doesn't really stop. So off camera, it felt like we were in summer camp because we were doing training together. We were running around screaming for each other's lives together, like carrying each other, that we all got so close. And we would do things that were like so stupid off camera. Like, one of the things that we loved playing was Mafia. Do you know Mafia? Mafia is like the Traders. Have you seen the Traders?
Yes, yes.
The traders are the mafia, and so basically you just choose 2 mafia members, and so we would just play like that game all the time, and we would get so like passionate about it, but passionate in a like in a stupid way that it counteracted all of the heavy stuff that we were doing. And funny enough, we would play this with the crew as well, and the crew was almost better at lying than the actors were. It was harder to tell what the crew was than the actors, and maybe that just comes from the fact that the actors are always trying to like showcase the truth of whatever. But I think the biggest thing is just we all got along so well, so that when we were in between takes, we were like playing chess or making dance videos, or we would all have outdoor picnics on the grass so that we would just be together and kind of diffuse the screaming and the yelling. And some of those people are now like lifelong friends and very, very close still. And that doesn't always happen, especially when people are coming from all across the world, like this show. And maybe because everybody was coming from across the world, we banded together as if we were in some type of away camp, because you don't know many people beyond the people that you're working with. And so we just like would go to plays or go to movies or you know go bowling. We had so many good organized activities. But yeah, I think maintaining stupidity in between was really important to boggle that all down. Just being stupid.
No, that's lovely. I absolutely love that. It's, you just got to be human sometimes. You just have to be human. And especially you have to let your inner child out. It's why hide him? Why hide him?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're literally doing make believe, which is what is the like 80% of what kids do. So you gotta bring them, you gotta bring that inner child to the table when you can.
That's wonderful. Glad you had so much fun. Not saying once again, I haven't seen the season yet, so not saying that you're not coming, that you're not going to be here in the future, and crossing fingers. But with that being said, I do want to actually talk about one really quick last thing before I do the big final question. You said at the beginning you had people that kind of helped direct you, and I'm assuming you meant directors. You remembered your first director. With shows like Expanse, like Invasion, you have different people directing you in different times, because it's supposed to come from different action sequences, different point of view. So what is it like when you are on set? Do you have difficulty at all? Is it difficult in general to work with different actors or different directors to understand their processes, or do you find it pretty easy to kind of just change up as it happens?
I think it really depends on the showrunner, who is the person who's kind of throwing a through line throughout every episode. So every episode is a different director for the most part, unless they have like a double deal, which we had multiple. We had a director doing 2 episodes each on Invasion. Invasion, they had such a strong through line that it didn't feel there was no uh, discomfort in jumping from person to person, but you do learn how each person has a different focus. And because directing is such a visual medium, there can be a stronger relationship towards the visual setup of something. And that didn't really happen on this show, but in the past other experiences, you could have a director who's more focused on what everything looks like and the orchestration of it, and they're not so concerned with the performance of it. Whereas you could have a different director who's more concerned with like the truth of the performance rather than the visuals of the camera work and whatnot. So I think from an acting point of view, obviously you always like the director that's going to give you more attention and like dissect the what you're working on, the material. But sometimes you can feel a little bit like unsure of where your performance is landing when it's the other side of things. So I think like learning to stay true to what you're bringing to the table, offering, like knowing when to direct yourself in a way. But I think that can be a funny thing, is sometimes you can watch a series and all of a sudden an episode you're like, this feels like a completely different show. And it's because a director has taken certain liberties to create their own creation as opposed to looking at the package as a whole, that this your story is a part of a series, and so your artistic flair can't necessarily be as vibrant as it would be if you were doing like an independent film. But I guess that from the acting point of view, it's just knowing when the director is more technical or they're more about the acting and the storytelling. It's kind of when you're like jumping between, oh yes, this person is giving me so much, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to be more independent. So I guess it just depends on learning how to be fluid inside of those two ways.
Absolutely. That's I and on as someone who is not in that space, that sounds like a lot of work. But I'm so it sounds like you have it sounds like that's a great perspective for all the people out there. I That's amazing. Oh, that is a great talent right there to be able to see that. Um, okay, final question. I promise. I promise. With this, with Invasion happening once again, everyone, episode 6 arrives this Friday, and new episodes every week. With episode 6 is September 26th. Um, what would you take away from Invasion that you want to lead into your future?
Ooh, good question. I think there was so much humility and grace from the leads of the show, like Golshifteh and Shioli and Shane, that they're inside, they're carrying like the weight of this epic story from arguably the biggest streaming platform right now. I mean, the Emmys was proof of how well Apple TV Plus is doing. And inside of a show that has this like giant scope that covers a story that's really global and shoots globally, and the way that they handled themselves on set and how gracious and kind and inviting they were to every single person that was around them, while also delivering fantastic performances and being collaborative with anyone who they had a scene with, talking about how do we make this better, what would work here. It could very well have been the standard Hollywood, like, arm's length, you're just here to do a job and we're not developing a relationship, and let's just do this and let's move on. And some people are like that, but they were very much like, let's get to know each other. We're going to be here together for the next 6 months, like running in the dirt, screaming and crying. Um, and I think that not only like their level of approach to the story itself, but also just their approach to the people that around them is something that I would love to emulate in myself on other projects. I think when everybody's being treated well and everybody's welcomed, I think everybody just does a better job. And I think that applies to any industry, not just film, right? When you feel like you're a part of something, you feel more incentivized to do your best, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a beautiful takeaway. Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. And I am sorry about the opening. It's just been an awkward day. I'm just going to say that the rapture is happening today, guys. What can we do? You know, I'm gonna blame it totally on that. Stephen,
There's a
thank you
lot
so
going
much.
on in the world. There's a lot going on in the world right now.
Hopefully, the rest of us who are going to get raptured, we will be watching Invasion episode 6 on September 26th. I will be watching it when the series completes because high intensity situation that just it freaks me out. So I will be watching at the end of the season, and I really look forward to it. Um, real quick, where can they find you on all the socials?
I mean, a main thing would be Instagram. It's S Tracey one. I made it up a long time ago and I can't change it because there's a BuzzFeed article with my handle in it, but S Tracey one. So Stephen Tracey one. And then just go to IMDb, and look up. IMDb is a really great way to support your favorite actors. Checking out their IMDb profile boosts their meter for jobs and whatnot. So check there for all future updates. But yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And you don't have to apologize for anything. You were so lovely and so eloquent. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. We'd love to have you back, especially at the end of the season. I'd actually like to talk to you about what happened.
Yeah.
So Stephen, if you have time, we'd love to have you back. And everyone else, please like, subscribe, share, do all those things down below. And I didn't know that about IMDb. So yes, we will start adding that to it. Please go check out IMDb and support your locals, support all of the actors. Thank you so much, and y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Nerds rule the world.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Yeah. Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes,
you know
sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. KAYFABEYBABY, nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
Nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like Nerds Rule the World. Like, I want more black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nerds Rule.
Love it. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Julie.
Yes,
Rock on. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. I love Nerds Rule the World.
But yeah, there's a heavy nerd component, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you ask me, nerds rule the world. So
absolutely.
And
you're right. Nerds do rule the world.
We're just the best.
Yes.
Yes. Nerds do rule the world. I agree.
We do.
I agree.
We're awesome, aren't we?
Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you so much.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
And nerds really do rule the world.
Thank you, sir. It's your boy KAYFABEYBABY. Nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
do. They rule the world all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.
Well, I was good until I saw that this is Nerds Rule the World. So are we talking about like everybody you interview is a nerd, right?
Oh, it's a legal requirement. It is.
It's a legal requirement.
Yeah.
Or are you, or the second you popped on screen, I was like, wait, are you supposed to be the queen nerd then?
I hope so. My handle is Heather is a nerd, so I am a professional at least.
Okay. But then you enter that whole question of like, well, if you're calling yourself a nerd, are you really a nerd? True nerd, would they call them? I don't know. I'm going to start going cross-eyed.
Going to psychoanalyze this a little bit.
Yeah.